Okay.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I have another fascinating guest. I would say more so a friend. She's always in my chats and she's always the nicest person. And we already have a lot in common. We have a lot of the same friends. And who I'm talking about is Auric Vibe. You might not recognize her name from the chat. She goes by Auric Vibe 1111. And she's just an amazing person. And we're just going to have a conversation tonight and see where it goes. With all that said, Auric, thanks for coming on. And how are you?
I'm fabulous, Rob. How are you?
I'm good.
I think we were having a discussion just before you started the record about how we think we're cut from the same cloth. So I've been home for about 2.5 hours and I've gotten like a dozen things done and managed to watch you and Matthew.
That's cool.
So,
I saw you were in the chat earlier. I was like, I was like, that was really cool.
Yeah,
Why do
yeah.
you go by Auric Vibe 1111? You know, my birthday's tomorrow, 111, 111 night. So like part of your name, 1111 is my birthday, 111.
I think it really, kind of struck a chord with me for some reason. If you think of, where you get slushies from, right?
Yeah.
Where do you get slushies from?
Oh, 7-Eleven.
So that's my birthday.
Oh, so I'm 111, you're 7-Eleven. That's funny. That's cool.
So I actually have something set up with a local numerologist, and so I'm gonna be talking to him and learning a little bit more about the synchronicity of numbers and how they can relate to you personally, how you can do like readings with the numbers that kind of are around you, not just the synchronicities. So your birthday doesn't change, right? Even the time of your birth matters, even when you're doing like your birth chart and that.
One
So
thing that was weird is that me and my ex-girlfriend that I was my ex that I was with before, is like we both had a connection to the number 22, for some reason. And then we found out that it's a master number. So is 11. 11's a master number. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but there's like master numbers, there's angel numbers, and if you're seeing like 1111 a lot, that's good. If you're seeing like 222, 333, 444, that usually means you're on the right path. Like I was seeing that a lot when I decided I was going to do this full time, podcasting full time. I started seeing my angel numbers all the time, and I didn't know what it was, and I was like, I kind of put it together, and I just took it as a good sign from here on out. I don't know.
yeah, I think you're right though. What made me kind of smile is that when I think of seeing the same set of numbers the same numbers over and over and over, I kind of feel like your spirit guides and your guardian angels are kind of slapping you up the backside of the head, telling you, "Hey, we're trying to tell you, hey, we're trying to tell you
Yeah,
something. Hey, hey." So that's what I kind of feel like. I was like, "Oh God."
I think
So
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah, and the number, of course, that I end up seeing is a lot of fives. So unfortunately, that kind of like can mean change. It's like the tower moment, and it's deep breath and let's just hang on to your shorts kind of thing, or at least
Yeah.
have an extra pair.
But you said you're working with Selena. Oh, now like you guys are doing a bunch of different stuff. And what's going on?
Well, I texted her this evening, and we're gonna try and do because I'm a BQH practitioner, and I don't do this sort of thing full time. I'm a mental health caseworker for the community in the county that I work for. So yes, I'm a government employee. So, but no, it's, so I work with seriously mentally ill patients. So, that keeps the roof over my head and food in the fridge kind of thing. So I help people, and I truly do want to help people. I'm not like saying, take your meds, go see your doctor and go get the x-rays and, everything else that you can put into your body. I don't do that. It's more of a, how can I help you? How can you live the freest, happiest, least restrictive life. And I want to hear what you have to say. And I think that that's the biggest thing with anybody is just feeling heard. And that's what I think I really like about your show, Rob, is that you do have on a lot of people that you don't necessarily agree with what they say, but you're so open. It's like, okay, yeah, that's really cool. Okay. Yeah, it's like, that's really interesting. So you let them have their piece, and it doesn't mean you have to believe them. It's important that people have a voice. And that's why I really think it sucks that you have these different media outlets like the fluff tube that we're, probably gonna have this on, that they're stifling that. They're kind of stifling that. So what do you think about as far as all that?
I mean, the whole, I try to be like Art Bell. I'd say this in every podcast I do with people, like when I get a chance. I was a huge fan of Art Bell. You know what I mean? He was like a big influence. Like I love the whole idea of radio. I just love radio. I love it as an ability to connect people. It's really magical if you think about it. Like, and when Art Bell was doing his thing, there was like really only there was radio up until, well, he got big in 98, 99, 2000, 2001. He was doing it in 92. Well, he had been doing political radio since the 70s. But
Right.
then in the 90s, he started doing paranormal radio. And then the internet hit in like 98, 99, 2000, 2001. He was one of the first people to start getting on the internet. And they started putting Coast to Coast, the show he was on the internet. I
Yep.
remember it, like, and because I used to listen to it then. And I used to love like all the topics he would cover and all the different guests he would have. So I guess you could say that kind of left a like that left like a
An
impression on me,
impression.
yeah,
Yeah, a
like
positive
about like
impression. Yeah,
the way
yeah.
I wanted to have my
Right.
show. Like, like I'll have someone on one day about witchcraft, and then the next day
Right.
about being abducted by aliens, and the next day someone talking about the Illuminati, then the next day someone's a target individual. It's whatever, you know what I mean? I like that. Or just a conversation like we're having, where we talk about
Yeah.
everything.
So here's a question for you, Rob. Have you ever brought anybody on and then, however, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour into it, you're going, holy shite, what did I do?
Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah. I try not to let it,
You don't. You don't let that on at all. It's like perfect. And it's the gem. I think it's why you are able to have the diverse people that you do have on your show, is because again, you don't have that judgment. And that's a big part of what I do too, is that it's unique. Well, I should say everybody's got to use judgment. We just don't want to be judgmental.
Yeah. We want to
So
be discerning, but like not judgmental. Yeah, that makes sense, right?
so you use judgment to, like you said, use discernment, judgment being to keep safe. You got to keep yourself safe. And yeah. So and I also liked the people that you have on. They're pretty intelligent, like Rasmussen. I can't remember his first name.
Oh,
He was just
Christian from, yeah, he's one
Christian,
of,
yes.
yeah,
So I used to run a substance use treatment facility, and I've seen some pretty harsh stuff. I know exactly what he's talking about with the opiate withdrawals and alcohol and all that. So I am like the mirror of Rob.
yeah,
I don't do
this is an
anything. I
epidemic.
don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't, because I saw so much. And we didn't have men at our facility, but we had we could have up to like almost 40 women, and we could have like 25, 30 kids. We had them from age 12 to age 17. We had a school and everything. And I saw them 12-year-old, classic addictive behaviors. And it was hard. It was really hard to see that.
That's a shame. That really is.
Yeah. And they closed it. They
Wow.
closed, well, and a lot of the treatment centers closed, I think, because the money wasn't in it anymore. And I
Yeah,
think
that's a
that
shame. That's what it all boils down to, right? Is the money.
right. And that's what he was talking about though, too, is that, why are they using this and not that? You talked about Suboxone and methadone. they keep that going because they're not going to make the money on it. That's why you see these rotations of the substances. So a lot of facilities aren't doing they're trying to get away from some of the benzodiazepines. So Xanax was a big one. So no more Xanny bars, people. We're not going to prescribe them. We have a sign that says zero,
Yeah.
no Xanax. But they're prescribing other medications that are benzodiazepines that they're saying that are not addictive. Well, 40 years ago, neither was marijuana, but look where we are today.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like that's why I like to promote the
Yep.
affiliates that I use. Like I use Christian, he has the Amanita mushrooms, and then I promote the kratom too. I mean, I don't really promote it. I don't really show any ads or anything like that. I'm going to start to try to pick business up, but at the same time, I just kind of put it out there. Just same like with my interviews. So like if people like need it, then they have a
Yep.
link there, they get a discount, and then maybe it'll help them. You know what I mean? But I also put a
Yeah.
disclaimer up too, because I know a lot of days now, times like people are mixing stuff, you know what I mean? And that's what honestly a lot of these problems stem from is like it's not just one drug, but it's like people are putting like concoctions of drugs in their system and like
Yeah, fentanyl's big right now. I lost somebody almost 3 times in the last couple of months because of the fentanyl and the cocaine. So, and I hope they show up for their next appointment. Otherwise, I'm gonna probably be driving around the neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, it just,
you well, at least
it's
you
just,
care, you know. I mean, some people
yeah.
don't care, you know, like they it's good that you care about your patients, you know.
Yeah, and once you really start talking to people, it's like the guy in the corner who's got the sign up, and it's kind of like, oh, give him money. It's like, no, don't give him money. Go to McDonald's and buy him a half a dozen burgers and hand him the burgers. Otherwise, because you don't know what he's going to do with the money. Although he might sell the burgers, which is the thought.
Yeah,
It
that's
could be.
true.
It could be. But
Yeah.
a lot of the things though is that again about the judgment and being discerning is also developing your intuition. I think you have a lot of really cool, highly intuitive people on your channel. Um, I know you'd probably like to have a lot more. And one of the things you mentioned though too is that it goes, oh, so how do I introduce you as you're an experiencer? And it's like, yeah, I've experienced a few things in life, but I don't have memory of them.
Do you have did you ever have any paranormal experiences that you remember?
I have basically died on an operating table twice, but have no memory. I just have sleeping, waking up, and everybody like tripping because they couldn't wake me up.
See, that's kind of what scares me about near death experiences because there's so many people that say they have near death experience, but then there's people like you who say that they died and they didn't see anything. And that's what worries me. Like
But I
that's
don't,
why
yeah, it's like you fall asleep and then they're like freaking out because it's like, okay, she's okay, she's okay. And it's kind of like, crap, did something happen again? But obviously, I don't think, I kind of feel like it's this way maybe, because I did go in, I did have some BQH things on myself, and there really wasn't any kind of a memory that came up that was relative to that. There was some very, very old memories that came up, even origin, like origin of creation stuff with colors and shapes. So that was kind of cool with that. But as far as what happened during those events while I was here, obviously we have to trust our higher self and know that it's either not relevant or that it's going to impede whatever path or mission that we're on. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. But I also disappeared when I was 2.
what happened?
I don't know. We flipped. Um, but yeah, so Selena and I kind of looked into that a little bit, and she feels like that I was kind of protected. Something happened where I was protected from something, or something happened there, and I was like, well, I'm good with it, So I think developing our intuition and saying, I think everybody's an experiencer. It's just whether or not you're going to remember it, you know? And
Yeah.
you said that you've tried getting out of popping out of your body a couple of times. Well, I've heard the noise that you're talking about, but I've never had that experience.
Well, yeah, it's been pretty common what happens when you try to go out of body. Like what'll happen is like I was using like Robert Monroe's Hemisync binaural beats, and then
Yep.
like I was really like intent, like focused on getting out of body because I feel like, and I still am, I haven't got out of body completely yet. Like I felt like there was a time where I might have, but like for me, like it's if something happens to me, it's got to happen 110% for me to put it out on my podcast, because I'm just not about telling fake stories. You know what I mean? Like
Right, right.
so,
Yep, yep.
so any like when you know when I have my paranormal experiences, which I can talk about, I can tell you about, like those are real. You might have heard me talk about that, like you know where I've had things touching me at night, you know, like and that it was something mystery. You know, I compared it to like this is going to sound funny, but it felt like a paranormal shiatsu, you know, because like I would lay down and all of a sudden I would have these like something massaging me, and I
Yes.
thought maybe it was like someone doing like Reiki on me, and then well, what happened was it got worse. Like I started having like bruising on me,
Oh,
and I had to say no. And then one of my ex-girlfriends tried to clear it out of here, and then Priscilla finally cleared it out of here. She got it out completely. It was definitely something malevolent. She said she shoved it in a portal, which is interesting because my ex-girlfriend just came in here and she kind of like smudged the place or whatever, and she wasn't able to get it out of here. I mean, like it seemed like she did at the time, but going back to the Robert Monroe thing was I was using the Hemisync binaural beats because I felt like if I could go out of body, that would for sure prove, you know, proof of the afterlife, you know, that there would be, because I felt like if there's another part of our body that exists that we don't know about, where you actually pop out of body, that's probably the soul. And so that's like proof of like something else existing besides this physical mortal realm. So I'm kind of like obsessed with like proving that, you know, and I've come close, but you know, like I even use these one Hemisync binaural beats right now. They're really good. I actually wake up and I'll be in like the vibrational state, but then I get scared and then I stop. Like I don't know, but I continue to do it because I figure one of these nights I'm probably just gonna end up popping out of body, and you know, like and I'll see it. But that's what Robert Monroe had. Robert Monroe, he wrote the book Journeys Out of the Body and Far Journeys and stuff like that, and he has the Monroe Institute in Virginia, and you know, people go there for like consciousness expansion experiences for like, and like psychic awareness. They did like remote viewing there, and they were tied to the Stargate program and stuff for a little bit. And you know, I had Paul Elder on my show. He's from up in Canada. He talked about his psychic abilities and going out of body and stuff like that. It really is like one of the most provable forms of the paranormal that we have is like the psychic ability and the out of body stuff and the remote viewing. It's very provable. I don't know if it's the brain or if it's consciousness or if it's, I tend to think it's consciousness, you know, though. So sorry, I went on a tangent there, but I don't know
no,
if
that's
that answered
fine
your
because
question.
that's perfect. I was just thinking about when you said when you pop out of body, it's got to be the real deal and the full game. I'm just thinking, and when you pop out of body, Rob, you're going to have to go jumping up and down and having a one-man party because you finally did it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a mission that I
Here
have.
I am on their bed. And it's like, woo. And then you're going to go just, have a good time, you
Yeah.
know?
I
But
mean,
you mentioned remote viewing. I started taking a course on that. It's called butterflyeffect.com. And I think she was a producer on Art Bell's show.
is it Michelle?
It's Michelle.
Yeah, she sends me interviews from time to time. She's a real nice lady.
Well, I met her through Watchers Talk with Omar. So Omar had me on, I can't even remember, it was a while ago. But yeah, that's how I met her. She was really cool. And it's like, I definitely have to sign up for her class. So I started that now, and I'm a very regimented 3D. I kind of feel like you a little bit where, okay, I have to be convinced, but I'm also open to what other people telling their story because that's their knowing and that's their reality. It doesn't mean that it isn't real just because I haven't experienced it.
That's how I feel about the secret space program. That's exactly you just summed up exactly how I feel about the secret space program. Like I'll have all those witnesses on and experiencers, and I don't discount their story at all. But
Yep.
because at the same time, I feel like something's going on there. Like, I don't know what it is. I think they're actually experiencing something, like, and I can't tell them what they're experiencing. Only they know that, you know what I mean? And I
Right.
don't like it's, I don't, going back to what you said, I don't think it's right that people judge people. You know what I mean? Like, I think the secret space program is like the new version of ufology. Like, it's just a more highly evolved version of ufology. Like, we're not in the Art Bell days of ufology anymore. Like, it's not like people are sitting around talking about the Phoenix Lights anymore. You know what I mean? It's like we've evolved past that, and people have opened up that there's targeted individuals, there's military abductees, there's secret space program witnesses, there's alien abductees. So there's like 4 different groups of experiencer that we really didn't have. I mean, we had military abductions back in the 90s, but it wasn't as prevalent. You know what I mean? So now all this stuff is coming to the forefront because people realize that they've been being messed with. And there's some people that even say that they can mess with your consciousness, like that they don't even need your physical body, which I believe. I believe that.
Absolutely. If you can, I mean, I saw a little blurb the other day that said if you walked in, I know how many people that you were driving down the road and you're saying, wow, I'm already down here already. I don't remember driving that last mile.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you
It's like
know
missing
that
time.
you didn't just bilocate somewhere and you went too far that way and then came back and was like, oh, okay. It's no, I didn't fall asleep. Somebody said, oh, you fall asleep. It's like, no, not me behind the wheel. That's not going to happen. Or forgetting going from one room to another.
Yeah.
Think about what is that?
I don't know. That's it. That's amazing.
Why did I
too.
come in here? Did I just switch a timeline? Did something just happen? Mandela,
Yeah. I think of the Mandela effect's very real too. There's like, there's something up with that. I don't know if that's like people messing with timelines or if that's like people coming back from the future to manipulate our timeline because something went wrong in the future. But like you would think that my whole theory on that is I agree with it, but at the same time I'm thinking like, well, if somebody were to come back from the future, you would think that one person would have messed up and they would have got out. You know what I mean? Like besides all the where was I going with that? Sorry, I just had a brain fart. Like
That's my job.
I did too many shows today, but no, but no. What was I saying? Oh, so you would think that somebody would have like, the word would have got out that a future traveler came back to the Earth somewhere. I mean, I guess we do have stories of it, but I mean, I don't know.
I mean, look at that one guy. I can't remember his name. I can't remember the exact dates, but I do remember he came back. He had made like tons and tons of money on Wall Street. And I think they tried to get him on insider trading. And when they put him in jail, he didn't have an identity. He gave him a name and everything, but they couldn't find his record. They couldn't find a birth certificate or not. Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
Then they went to go collect him in the morning, and both he and the money were gone.
That's amazing, right? Who was that?
I wouldn't if I was that guy, I wouldn't know. He got a little greedy. I would have just gone down and bought some precious metals. Forget the money. It's just paper.
Yeah.
Promise to pay. No, I'll take the silver and the gold.
Yeah, that's about right too. Like I mean, like that's one of the problems I see with like cryptocurrency and stuff. Like it's just another. It reminds me of the dollar in a way. Like it's not. I don't know. It's not really stable. It doesn't seem like, I don't know enough about it. Even if it were
stable, isn't it just another version of the legalized gambling called the stock market? I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Well, you can use it to buy stuff too. Like I've bought in supplements online with cryptocurrency and stuff too, but like it's I don't know how people get by like trading it, because I've never seen any significant increases in cryptocurrency, and I've bought it many times. Like I've had Bitcoin, I've had Ethereum. I used to get paid by one of the sites I post videos on. When I post videos on Rockfin, they pay you in this weird token called RAE coin, which is like bizarre that they would do that. But then you have to convert it to Ethereum, then you can cash out. It's like this big process. Like like, but I appreciate them having
That
me on
sounds
their
like too much
platforms.
work.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, but you, kind of stepping back a little bit, you had mentioned about proof of, an afterlife, or proof of something more than this 3D, reality. There's a group called IONS, that's an acronym. I think it's an international,
Association for
organization.
Near-Death Studies.
Yeah. So you know about ions, and I mean, look at the thousands of people that have those stories. And even on Next Level Soul, look at how many people he interviews. I don't see the same people. I see thousands of other people that
Yeah,
have entities. So yeah.
I
So
agree. I'm skeptical though. You know what I mean? Like I'm not being harsh or anything like that.
yep,
I just like it's hard, like I want to believe it. Let's put it that way. I want to
yep,
believe it.
yep, yep. And I think one of the things that that I brought up a picture when you were talking about the thing pushing on you.
I'm skeptical on everything though. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yep,
I don't express it in my show because
yep,
I don't want to question the whoever's talking, because I don't
right.
want my opinion to like sway the audience at all. Like I want the audience to remark on it,
Yeah,
and then
right.
we'll know for sure. You know what I mean? But like
Yep,
you know, I don't want to influence anybody's opinion in any way, really. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I just like I don't know.
right. No, I mean, so some of the things that people will talk about. So you'll see somebody post a picture, and they'll have this little blurb on it, and it'll be something that's attached to, like, a news story. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the news story is inaccurate, but it was would be a picture of maybe that would not be accurate of what the story's about. So there has been two of them that have
Clickbait.
popped up that I thought, okay, that looks legit. So now I'm gonna go check it. So that's one of the things. I have a psychology degree. So you learn how to look at the research. You learn who did the research, who peer reviewed the research, who paid for the research, and you figure out how the research was done. So when you look at the front of a proper research paper, it has called an abstract, and it kind of says, this is what we're going to try and figure out, and this is kind of what we figured out, and blah. And then they break everything down into these different components. You really need to go to the very end of the paper. And the very end of the paper gives you correlations for whatever it is that they're looking at for certain circumstances. So when people look at research papers, when I was looking at them, you would be something, as somebody said, they did a study on whatever, and you look at what they used for their analysis and dig deep. Some of the numbers that they're using were like from 50 and 70 years ago.
Wow.
So 50 to 70 years ago, how accurate is that? People were in a different mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
So how do you even go there with that?
yeah, that I don't know. That's tough, Like yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. It's like,
So it's like the whole thing with the extraterrestrial, the so-called aliens in the mall.
oh
So people
yeah, yeah, that's interesting for sure.
so how much of that was a hologram?
I think a lot of it was. I don't know. I don't know, because then I don't know if you saw the show I did with James Rink and Laura Eisenhower. James showed a video and it showed the cop cars and it showed some being walking around, but it could still be
That
a
could be a
hologram.
hologram.
Could be.
Especially when the one guy in the mall, because you shared that clip that, I don't know, was it TikTok or something like that? It was in the chat, you put it in. And I started watching, and I was like, this guy kept saying that it was glitching.
Yeah. I thought so too. You know, like I mean, that's what it seems like. So it could be a hologram for sure.
And just think about how good when you look at a movie, this that looks like real people, real backdrops, and
Oh
none of
yeah,
it's
they can
real.
fool you with movies, you know, and AI, you know, AI is like, you know, on another level too. You know,
Yeah,
like it's who knows what, and then remember the government's always 100 years ahead, like 50 to 100 years ahead of us. So
yeah,
who knows what they have. But
yeah.
I also think that like, you know, like I think like that's only limited perception because like it's easy for us to say now because we have technology. But like if we would have been asking this in the 90s, you know, like we wouldn't be thinking all these things. We think it now
Right.
because we have technology, but maybe it's because we're finally catching up to some of the stuff that they have. So it's you can look at it from a different many different ways, you know?
Right,
It's
right,
interesting for sure.
right.
I
So
don't know.
seeing isn't necessarily believing anymore.
Yeah.
You know, how many of those YouTube commercials do you see and that's supposed to be some high profile political figure? I'm not naming any names on purpose. That's saying how you have to claim your $6,000.
Oh my
And it's not them
God.
at all. It's someone that can see the digitized mouth, and it's just like that's just so freaking creepy.
Yeah, I get messed with on social media quite a bit by these people that like they say like, do you want to join the Illuminati? And like then they say, do you realize you were claimed on the something 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 list and you can get money? And I'm like, what are you doing with your day? That you have this much time that you're sending people out feelers to rip them off. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's insane. Like it's the whole level of schemery on Facebook is like at a all time high. It's ridiculous, you know,
Yeah.
like but
Fake book? You mean fake book?
yeah, really,
Fake.
that's what it is too, you know.
And he didn't start it. The Android clone uh Zuckerberger.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the real deal.
So do you think
I even saw him in an interview saying, well, I used to be human.
yeah, he seems like very robotic, you know.
He's creepy. Yeah, I'll
He
say
is.
that.
He really is.
So I
He's
don't
a
know why I keep going back to this, but that thing that was on you that was like, so when I go in my backyard and I got a big dog, so I'm gonna take her out when I can take her out, and I'll stand out. I love being out there at night because it's nice and quiet. I got a cornfield back there. So I can just stand out there, but I will feel something that will push on me. And sometimes here, but it's usually very soft, and I can feel something that's like pushing on me. So one day I was out taking a picture of the moon, and I think I got a couple pictures up on my YouTube channel of it. I ended up putting my phone on my head like this and snapping a picture because I was taking pictures of the moon, and it's kind of like I wonder what it would look like if I did it with a flash. So I put the flash on and I took like 3 pictures, one right after and you can see the little thing at the bottom. I go, man, how did I get my finger in front of the camera? The camera's way up here. And so I clicked on the picture and I would see stuff like that.
let me see.
So I put I put my camera on my head and I take pictures at night.
What is
You
that? That's interesting.
I know it's like so this was Saturday. This is just this past Saturday.
Oh
So there's a whole
wow.
bunch of them.
And there's like
And
a mist there. There's like a smoke.
well, it was snowing.
Oh, okay.
Um, so here, oops. Yeah, that's when I had 555 on my stove. Anyway,
Hmm.
so this was one that was over my head. That one was really close. Is that
Wow.
weird? So I'm telling you, I look at a thing and I get, okay, the camera's on, and I'll go like this and I'll just click the button to take a picture. That's how I do it. So I went and helped somebody sorry if the cat's making a lot of noise. I helped somebody this past summer, and I drove from where I live, the Mackinac Bridge, across the bridge it was 5.5 hours one way for me to pick this person up. And I took them back to their house, and that was another like 4.5 hours. So I got back and I felt really good because we had good conversations. I felt that I really, really, truly helped somebody. And it was on my dime. I mean, it felt very good. And we kind of talked for, a few days or whatever. And I took one of those pictures, and that's what was over my head.
Oh, wow. That's strange. I don't know what that is.
I know, isn't that wild? They're lights. I don't feel threatened by them. It's kind of freaking weird,
It is.
but they're always there, and they're not necessarily on me, and they seem to be in a certain area of the house, but you can see they're up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess that's my experience for being an experiencer. So I think I encourage everybody to do weird stuff. Just be weird, embrace the weirdness. So yeah,
I
that's
agree.
kind of where we need to be at. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Don't play in a sandbox anymore when you have the desert at your feet.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, seriously, get out of the box. I think you'll be able to get out of the matrix, right?
I hope. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like everything seems like, I don't know. This world seems like sometimes I wonder if something that whoever's like running this world is like something really corrupt. Like, because like I always say, like, it's really interesting when you see like a, not interesting, but it's real beautiful when you see people who are like really in love get married, or a baby gets born, or, you can witness animals and wilderness, and it's really beautiful. But then there's some really evil stuff that goes on here too. And it makes me wonder, is that just duality, or is that like the world we live in, or is it evil, or is it, I haven't made up my mind yet, I
And I
haven't
think
figured it out.
the complex thing about being here, period, is, and it's like somebody would say, well, if you have this problem, here's your solution. Or if you have that problem, here's your solution. So for me, there's no silver bullet, because you can have a dozen people that have the exact same problem, but need a dozen different solutions. There's no silver bullet.
Yeah.
Even though you might have a similar experience to me, it's still not my experience. It's not your experience. It's your unique path.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So yeah,
So do you think
yeah,
we're all
yeah.
here to learn, or what?
I don't think there's a silver bullet. Some people are probably here to learn. Some people are probably here to party. So some people are, right? So, but I think everybody is here to figure out what it is. And that's why I don't think you can ask somebody, well, I want to know what my path is. Well, who can find out your path? You.
Yeah.
You're the one. Now, can other people help you? So the analogy I like to do with that is you can find more balance. So, if you have, I'm going to end up drawing a picture. So, when you have like, you have like a really crappy day, and you want to throat punch somebody, and a normal day is where you're gonna be like that. That's normal. So that's when you're really happy, and that's when you feel really crappy. But most of your time is really spent in between that. And a lot of people, they end up being way up here, and they just keep it there. And they don't know how to get down. Or when they do come down, they're way at the bottom.
That's me.
So,
I'm bipolar. I'm serious.
well,
Like I'm like I'm either like really energetically high, or I'm like really low. Or sometimes I'm in the middle. But I mean,
right. So
like, I
there's
feel
that.
like I'm definitely bipolar.
Yeah. So and I think part of the problem is believing the labels and believing that you don't have the control over it, when ultimately you do, because you're producing chemicals. You're programmed to produce these chemicals, and you're programmed to believe that you don't have control. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're going to regain that control right away. It takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time to do all that.
So it just happens. Like, it's that this is so more people are like me than you're saying. You're saying, like, that's just
I
so.
think almost everybody is like that. I think I had been like that for a lot of years. I was probably more on the bottom than I was in mania. I was probably very much depressed most of my life. Of course, I was married for 28 years and I was a single mother.
Oh, wow.
And I think he might be one of those SSP people, but a real one, not somebody who's delusionally, telling stories because they went through trauma and that's how they disassociate. Because what's there, bro, right?
No comment.
Right? Is that like the real deal though? For real? So
I mean, some people are fibbing, I don't know who, but like,
I tell them, I'm even more gentle. I say that's less than accurate. And that means it's a flat out freaking lie. So there's no fib. You're either lie or your truth in your heart and in your mind. So I say it's less than accurate.
I believe those people had something happen to them though. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
They could be
Yes.
alien abductees. They could be MyLabs, and they could be being programmed something, thinking that's what it is. That's I mean, and I'm not saying anybody. I don't want anybody to think that I'm like dissing anybody in the SSP. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is a possibility. Like the amount of mind control and mental weapons that are being used us on a daily basis, I truly believe are more than we can even imagine. Like the V2K stuff is like, very real. But I mean, it seems like a lot of people in our community know about the V2K. But I mean, they could have more advanced stuff that we don't know about.
Oh, absolutely.
And you never know what happened to someone. You know what I mean? They could be like
Right.
really damaged on the inside. And you
And
don't
they
know
may
from
not
what.
know what happened. And that's by design. Look at how many people were physically traumatized and were sleepers and would go out and do missions and then come back. I've even heard stories. This was like several years ago, talked about how she had had a regression and remembered going through some machine and it made her feel kind of weird and she found herself, blah, blah. So this was, I think they sent her through some kind of weird time machine to deliver a message to somebody. And it was something historical that was about to happen. So it was just kind of some weird stuff with this gal, the weird stories that kind of made sense. But I think the biggest problem I have is these stories that people tell are not vetable. They're not ones you can check. It's their experience and it has to be their story. It has to be validated by them. It doesn't have to be validated by anybody else. But it's good that they're able to say their story and bring other people forward who may have something that's really relevant that could help other people. And I think the people that you have on do help other people.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and it's all about like, I think that's what it's all about is letting people get their story out so they can be heard, and just create a safe place for people,
Right.
somewhere where they're not going to get ridiculed for what they say. That's important.
Right. Yeah. Oh, big time, big time. I know, and I hope there's a lot more people that will come forward, that will talk about I think there's supposed to be some big thing up here in Houghton Lake, Michigan, where there are it's like a big UFO conference in Houghton Lake. And I know the guy who I'm supposed to talk to him. He's supposed to get back with me. He and his wife have a shop up there. I can't remember what.
Oh, Deb and RJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
just on
talked to
their show.
RJ the other day.
Mystical Awakenings. I was on their show. If you go check out their show, you'll see an episode with me on there. They interviewed me.
I can't find any of their stuff. He's got he moved from Flint. I don't know how long ago you were on there.
They're just recently. It's called
Okay.
Mystical Awakenings, and they we actually that's what got me onto KGRA. Like I was doing Deb and RJ's show. They invited me on their show. They interviewed me, and I guess I made a good impression on the KGRA producer. He asked me to put my show on their audio platform, on KGRA's audio platform, and some of the biggest names are on KGRA, like Richard Dolan's on there, and
Right.
and I've always been a big fan of KGRA. Again, like I like radio, so I'm a big proponent for radio. But and I think it might be a dying thing though, with the internet. But I mean, I still like it. You know what I mean?
I
Like
think
I
a
think,
lot of people are still into it though. I know that people do like to have the video. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of times I will be doing other things and we'll have YouTube on. I'm not necessarily watching it. I'm not
yeah.
watching the chat. I'm listening to what people are saying because I think it's more relevant for me to pay attention. It used to really bother me. Chat used to really bother me. I used to just always make the damn screen big so I didn't have to see the chat and I could pay attention to what people were talking about. Otherwise, I would get far too distracted.
But I
You
think we
know,
have a good group that watch my show. I mean, I don't watch many other shows, so but I think like I'm lucky with my audience. They're all pretty good people. Knock on wood. I'll knock on wood.
yeah, and your Discord's really cool too. I mean, I really don't participate in a lot of things because I kind of have a day job and I'm kind of usually fried during the week. But what was it? Is there a Tinney? Is that his name?
Um, I don't know.
John Tinney.
Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, this is somebody else. I think he broadcasts out of New York. Uh Yeah, and I told this guy who told me about him, I said, I don't know who John Tinney is. I've been under a rock for the last 25 years, so.
I don't know who John Tenney is either. Don't feel. I mean, I've never
All
heard of.
right. Uh, one of the founders of the UFO convention that hundreds of people come to, and they take over an entire hotel. So I'm gonna try and hook up with some of these people, and apparently RJ knows him.
Yeah, RJ's a good person. He's a real good person. Deb and RJ are really nice people. So anyway, like I was saying, so the producer from KGRA heard me on their show. Well, he was there during the show, and he asked me to put my show on KGRA. It's not a paid opportunity, but it will be good for exposure. That's the main reason why I'm doing it because like for exposure, I just want all the exposure I can get. That's why I'm on like Rumble and Rockfin, and then I have an audio podcast and I upload to every single one of them every day, and it's a big ordeal. But it's like,
Yeah.
but I mean, like again, I love it. Like I was working at Walmart before this. I was a mortgage broker for 10 years. I had a really good job in mortgages. And then I lost my job. And when we had a recession in 2009, then I had one more job after that in mortgages. But then I had like a streak of like bad jobs from 2015 to 2020. And I honestly would not go
Hmm.
back to those. I got treated like shit. Like
Yep.
like now I see why people don't want to be in the workforce because they get discouraged because they have problems with people at work or they get treated like they're less of a person. There's extreme
Yep.
favoritism at these places.
Yep.
Not room for advancement. I
Nope.
couldn't even imagine being involved somewhere where my whole future was dependent on if somebody likes me. You know what I mean? I
Yep.
don't think that's very fair to anybody, and nobody should have to go through that. You know what I mean? Like it's and that's what some of these places I worked for were like you got to kiss ass to like to be someone in their organization. And guess what? I'm not an ass kisser. Well, no.
Just make sure you brush your teeth. Yeah.
But so I figured, but I get questions all day long about this and that, and people were having experiences. So I was like, well, why don't I just offer coaching? But it'd be probably good if I got a certification.
In our
I'd probably
trainings every year. So, for me to step out and pay for my own, I felt it was important because there's a lot of motivational interviewing and coaching, and it can really help you. As you know, I think you can develop some of your NLP skills too. So that's going to be a big part that could help you with your coaching, with
yeah.
feeling more confident, with understanding, you know what? You just got to do it. I remember the first person I sat with, and it was after 5 o'clock. It's like, what the hell did you guys just do? They all went home. I had questions. I couldn't get stuff to work. And this lady had just gotten out of a mental hospital.
Oh my God.
And I'm up in this little room talking to this gal. I mean, she was wonderful. She was, it's like give you the box of tissues, but it was hard. It was really, really hard. So, just building up that confidence and feeling like you have that support. You're always welcome to just reach out to me and have a chat. I prefer chatting rather than texting or emailing or any of that other kind of rubbish. You're more than welcome to call at any time. No worries.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So I feel like closer to him now since that has happened. And we're talking to Selena, she can really tap into that stuff. And she said, yeah, he's there a lot. Her guides were in my living room.
Wow. Wow.
The cat was sitting on I have a cat tree right there. And he's looking at me. It's like, hey, buddy, what are you looking at? And he's just staring down at me. And he goes like this. So he was looking at him. He was looking at whatever was up there.
They can do that. Yeah, animals can sense it, you know? They
So
definitely can.
he could sense it, he could see it, and it was up there, and he's just like watching stuff. And he's a pain in the ass, but I asked Selena, I said, the cat was just looking up and texting her. She goes, I think it was some of my guides just checking to make sure everything's okay. So I think we share guide teams. We got some weird connection. And I think I met Selena in the chat, Watchers Talk with Omar.
Yeah. He has a
That's
good
where I
show. I
first met
like his
her
show.
2 years ago. And
Yeah.
I knew then there was a connection. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like Selena a lot too. She's really nice. She's very psychic too. She's very psychic. Well, I'm sure you
She
know
can
that.
tap into energies like nobody's business. The problem is and she's opened me up a lot too. But she's told me a couple of things that are gonna hopefully come to fruition. And I don't know if it's gonna be with the cards or the BQH or Susan Long. I want to reach out to her. She said she wanted, because she does Reiki. I'm connected now with 2 Reiki practitioners. So I make these. This is a Reiki wand.
Oh, that's cool.
So, this orgone, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make them without the orgone and just have it be. So this is kyanite and moonstone. I really like this one with copper.
Yeah.
This has just got I think it's rose quartz, selenite, and then I have the clear quartz on the top. But
Oh,
I mean,
that is so cool.
for me, they're prototypes, and I've heard a lot of, even scientists will say that the energy fields will change when you put a little bit of pressure on these. And I made sure I got the right kind of test tubes, so they're borosilicate, so it's sand, so you have the silica in it. So it does make a difference of what you're doing. And if I hang on, my hand's tingling already, the palm of my hand. It's because I'm putting just a little bit of pressure on it. So I
I'd
can,
probably be really sensitive to that too, in a good way, because like I pick up
yeah.
energy from crystals.
So yeah, this and, here, let me
Is
show you
that
this.
one of those special cut crystals? You know what I'm talking about?
The Vogel, this is a
Yeah.
Vogel, yes.
Wow, that's a Vogel. That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's it's the specific angles and the length of the angle and then the number of sides. And I think that this is what is it, the 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is the 6-sided one. So that's supposed to be a little bit more attuned to, and you can hook it up with, I'm looking into that too. Hook it up to something that can kind of amplify it
Yeah.
with an oscillator or something. And this gentleman lives in Michigan. So he's all about music and correlation to the universe, of what it has and the resonance. And the other gentleman he hooked me up with was RJ and Deb. And then the other guy is Tom Wall, Cosmic Knot. He does 432 hertz music.
Oh,
So he doesn't do 440. So I'm gonna kind of, try and see if I think I got something already scheduled. I don't know.
yeah.
Life's
No,
become a
that's cool.
whirlwind this month. Yeah, so everything's energy. Everything's moving, everything's energy, nothing's solid.
Everything
So
oscillates, right? Right. Vibration and frequency. It
Uh,
seems like,
yeah, everything's moving, so solid is an illusion, and it's really about the polar, and you're talking about, the dark and the light and the you know, do people do these things, and is it dark and light, and is it just because of the, what do you call it? Dark and light.
Duality.
Duality. It's because of the duality. Yes. And I don't think that this place would exist without it. I think that's just the way the physics is structured at this
Yeah,
point. I think that we're at the very beginning of that transitioning point. So I kind of feel like everything is energy. And I know a lot of people think that, you know, certain things are witchcraft, but what's witchcraft?
it's magic, energy.
It's, you're just manipulating energy. You just know
Yeah,
how to manipulate energy. And magic is only mystical because you don't understand it. It doesn't mean there isn't science behind it.
I agree.
So if you understand what the unified field is and you believe that everything is energy, you should be able to manipulate the energy to say, if I have a question or I need clarity on something, I don't think we should be critical of people who have different ways of figuring things out to find answers. So like tarot or the Reiki, because I was told not to do Reiki
Yeah.
because it was, you know, magic, hoodoo, occultic type stuff. So I love the artwork and cards. They fascinate me, the symbolism
Me
and
too.
yeah, I think they're beautiful. So I think I got like 20 decks or something.
That's why I love to have different readers on my show because I know you guys will like it, and then I like it. You know what I mean? And I love the psi. I like psi. You know, I really like studying psychic abilities. Like I want to know why it is people can bend a spoon with their mind. You know what I mean? Because people can do it. You know,
Yeah,
and I guess
yeah,
it's
and
kind of like what you just said. It's like manipulating energy, but I mean, it's how though. You know, because I don't
you,
understand.
if we're a unique, and this is just my take on it, it's like if we're like a unique set of atoms and molecules, and we are, each one of us, we're together, but we make up this biome that's different than anybody else. So if we're different, even though we might be pulling from the same unified field, you could have three different readers get a similar story with a different perspective.
Yeah,
So they're going to kind of get the same thing, but different. So it's good that you're able to get different people on because they're going to give a little bit different. They're going to pull different energies in. They're going to
yeah,
be able to get different messages or maybe similar messages, but with a different take on it.
yeah.
That's why I think it's fun just to have all this stuff running in the background, and I can hear one person say one thing, and then 5 hours later or 5 days later, somebody totally different will say almost exactly the same thing.
Wow. So it's like synchronicity or confirmations.
It is like confirmation. They could sit there and talk for 45 minutes, both of them, and there's going to be that one piece of information that's going to blend that it's consistent. So it's like, well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think there's prosperity because I did pull an order card for you. It's like,
Oh, that's cool. Milk and honey.
yep.
What's that
So
mean?
milk and honey. Look at that little elephant is just having a blast, and the sweet life. You're gonna enjoy the sweet life if you aren't already.
I'm
I think
not.
you're
I mean,
already
but
there.
well, I mean, I'm marking for myself, so that's good. But I mean, it's always very volatile. Not volatile, but it's like up and down. You know what I mean? It's like the money could be better, but I mean, you know,
Oh,
why
we
am I
can all say
complaining?
that.
You know, but you know, like it's a struggle sometimes. Let's put it, you know, but I think maybe things are turning around. I hope. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I just I it's you know, it's tough, but it's not, I don't hate it. So it's like, you know, it's if I was doing something else, I would hate it, you know, but you know, so it's like I feel
Yep.
like maybe this is meant to happen. I think it's all meant to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I think with you processing and doing your shadow work and all that, that's gonna really be like, that's gonna be the impetus for really opening things up. And if you're gonna be able to retrain what's going on in your head, you should be able to pull things things aren't necessarily going to get better. Things are going to get different. And it's got nothing to do, if things are rough, they're rough in your mind. So for me to look back and experience that life that I had for all those years, I was by myself. And it was very unpleasant at the time. But my story today is I wouldn't change a second because I wouldn't be who I am today without it.
Yeah.
So pain, discomfort are catalysts for change. You
Yeah.
know, if you have a stone that gets in your shoe and you didn't know about it and all of a sudden it's underneath the ball of your foot and you're not walking too good, are you going to leave it there? I
No.
don't think so. You're going to take the shoe off and you're going to fix it.
Yeah.
So that's the catalyst is being uncomfortable. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going into work for me, when I started there 3 years ago, people were like, "Ah, shit, it's Monday," or like, "I wish it was Friday." And why do you want to wish your life away? So when I was coming in, people would say, like, back at work. I'd say, "Happy Monday, happy post Monday," which would be Tuesday. Happy, and it's like happy Friday, happy eve of Friday, happy pre-eve of Friday, Wednesday. So we're halfway there. So it's all about your perspective. And I left the building it only took about 18 months, and I had people saying to me, "Happy Monday."
That's
That's
cool.
really important. Really important.
Yeah. How you present yourself and
How you present and how you use your perspective.
yeah. Yeah. Because it's not always as bad as it seems, right?
Well, it's use your discomfort. It's there for a reason. Well, what can I change to make it better? Do I need to change to make it better? Or do I just need to change my position or perspective on what's going on? I can't change what's going on in the world necessarily, although there's debate on that now.
Yeah.
So you just get a group of people together and you start doing the Om.
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
It
Art Bell,
works.
going back to Art Bell, he used to do studies in mass consciousness back in the day on the radio because he had a massive audience, right? And everybody would be tuning in, and he would tell them to focus on one thing, and he stopped storms. Like supposedly he reverted storms, but then he got a little bit worried about it because he felt like what if that storm goes back out and then it hits somewhere else? So he felt like he was with the mass consciousness studies, he was like doing something that he wasn't sure he could control. But
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Like we can control our own personal consciousness and the way we affect our own reality, right?
Right, but when you're doing that, you're not just affecting your own reality, you're affecting everyone's, because if that has a ripple effect, it's like that pond, that's that pebble in the pond. It's gonna eventually ripple out and affect, and that's just on the surface. What's going on underneath? I saw something really interesting that talked about sound, and people think of sound as waves. And this guy had some animation, the sound is a bubble. It's like a bubble and it expands. So when you speak or sing, it's like this bubble, and it doesn't just go this way. It starts here and it goes out. It increases your
Permeates.
head. It's like sticking a ball on your head, and it just expands out. So, it doesn't stop. It goes out. It's out into the ether, whatever people want to consider that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
this was fun. We got to do a part two. We'll have to, like I have to edit some stuff out, but I mean,
Yes, sir. Please do. Please and thank you.
yeah. Well, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you and if you want to be found or whatever? And thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Auric Vibe 1111.com is my website. I'm a BQH practitioner. I'm a resin artist. Yeah, I'm doing some healing tools. They're kind of in prototype, so I don't know if you're gonna edit that part out, but yeah, these are my prototypes, so they're not for sale. And I don't know if I should say that I do the card readings, but I can if somebody, just for clarity. It's not something I'm really gonna push.
Oh,
And my email, if anybody's got any question, because I'll custom make the pyramids if you want pyramid. And I have ethically sourced gems. So there's no question. It's usually local people here in the States, and
that's
even the
cool.
metals too. And yeah, that's Auric Vibe 1111@gmail.com. And I have the YouTube channel, obviously. So all that
It's
stuff.
Auric Vibe 1111.